Perma-Chink should be applied about 3/8 of an inch thick on top of the backing material. This ensures good adhesion to the top and bottom of the logs and allows for shrinkage during the curing process. The width of the chinking is about 1/6 of the log diameter. You can note in this picture that the bottom edge of the chinking comes close to the surface of the logs. This will prevent water from collecting along the bottom edge of the chink joint. That's another reason why you want to, when you're troweling it out, you want to make sure that you trowel across the top of the joint, the bottom of the joint, and the middle before misting with water, so that that water sitting on the ledge won't interfere with your chinking adherence. This picture shows the masking tape method. It's best used on rectangle or flat logs. You can put masking tape next to your superficial chink joints and trowel out your chinking, and then immediately pull off your cheap waterproof masking tape to get a nice clean chink line. This picture is actually from Extreme Home Makeovers. We've done a few of those episodes. They don't usually mention us, but we're there in the credits. Again, just to reiterate, Perma-Chink should be applied about 3/8 of an inch thick, whether that's on top of grip strip or the backer rod or other backing materials. This ensures good adhesion to the top and bottom logs and allows for shrinkage during the curing process. When holding your troweling tool, you don't want to hold it very firmly. You can just hold it very lightly. Do some light passes, that's all you need. You don't want to poke into the chinking. Even when you're sealing your zipper ends and around your log ends, you want to hold the tool lightly and you want to use backing material. Here you can see 1/4 inch backer rod being used. You want to use that wherever possible. When chinking against a stone wall or any other type of media besides logs, when you're sealing up a log wall next to something like that, you want to make sure that you use backing material in between the two walls and cover that entire gap. Make sure that you get good adhesion between that log wall and the stone wall. Otherwise, when the log wall settles or expands and contracts, it'll rip right away from the stone wall. If you're ever chinking, a lot of people will drywall some of the walls in their home. If you're ever chinking against one, you want to make sure that you paint or primer that drywall first, because drywall dust is not proper substrate for chinking. You'll have failure there too. This illustration shows a lodgepole. They've sealed around it with white chinking so that you can see it, but basically we just want to show you that wherever you can seal a gap, you should, to keep out water or air infiltration. It'll make your home a lot more energy efficient. On your exterior, you do want to seal in between your roof and the top of your log walls to keep out pests and water and air. Use backer rod wherever possible, even on a chinkless style home. You can seal around your doors, windows, dovetails, and butt joints. In between your window frames and door frames, often logs can settle or log siding can move, and you'll find a gap, and you'll need to seal that up too. You can use grip strip. You can seal along your window frame. Apply your chinking. And then seal the rest of your home. You can seal in between your log siding and bring the lines up to the line that you made next to your frame. If you have large caps like this, you can cut some EPS foam to fit that large gap. You'll want to make sure that you chink your chink line coming up to that frame all the way behind the frame. It'll be a lot easier to make your chink line blend in. Otherwise, you can have a little mess there. A lot of people will take the time to chink all around their zippers and log ends to keep out their water infiltration. Using a lighter chinking like this against a darker wood can lighten up the whole look of the house. If you've got log siding and you've seen it settle or move and you can see some of the insulation showing, you'll want to seal that gap because insulation can get wet and it can be a great attractor for flies. A lot of older log homes that have insulation sticking out and they have some flies, that's where they came from. If you have the old mortar style chinking and it started to crack or fall out, it's always best to remove that chinking before applying new chinking. It's a good idea to clean up the wood and remove any UV damage as well. It's also a very good idea to remove as much of the cambium layer on the wood as possible because bugs and water can get underneath it and cause damage to your wood. If you have a large gap like you see in this picture, you will want to remove the whole chink line and start over, as that's too big of a line to repair just by feathering in some new chinking. Here's the same wall. As soon as you catch up with me, okay, here's the same wall. It's been sealed with Perma-Chink, and they've removed as much of that cambium layer as they were comfortable with removing. Sometimes you can chink over the old style mortar instead of removing it, but in most cases it'd be a better idea to just remove it. As you can see on the bottom lip of this chink line, there's a lot of dust and powder left over from the old chinking falling out, the mortar style chinking, and that could cause adhesion failures with the new chinking. You don't want to chink in extremely hot weather because it can cause outgassing and blistering in your chinking. That can also happen sometimes when you apply your chinking too thin. You want to make sure that you always apply your chinking on the proper backing material and at least 3/8 of an inch thick. If you use nails or staples to tack it in and they're not galvanized, as you can see at the bottom chink line in this picture, sometimes you can see some rust streaks occur on your chinking. Log siding can present a lot more of a challenge when you're sealing for a lot of reasons. Sometimes there's not enough room for the proper backing material. Log siding takes a little bit longer to move and change and open up the gaps than regular logs. It's often beneficial to the homeowner to just wait until all that movement has occurred before you seal it. Otherwise, you can seal part of it and then another part of it can open up bigger and you get rips and tears and it can just be a big hassle. Chinking gap should be about 1/6 the diameter of your logs, or log siding in this case. This chinking gap might be a little bit small, but it looks pretty good. The chinking tester, when you first apply your chinking, your neighbors and friends and children will want to test it and see if it's cured. They'll put their fingers in it. Those fingerprints are stuck there forever. You can hang signs up that say keep off the chinking, or you can tack up some loosely fitting plastic. You don't want to trap moisture behind the plastic, as that can interfere with the curing of your chinking, but you can put some loose sheets of plastic up if you want to protect it, but inevitably someone's going to put their fingerprints in it. Here's a very nice chinkless style home. Over the years it had time to settle and move, and they decided to chink it to seal up all of the gaps. When they did chink it, they used a contrasting color of chinking, and it greatly lightened up the look of their home, gave them a nice new look.